Hi everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. This is the horror movie podcast here on the Meld Fuzz Podcast Network. I'm Peter Bradley, and with me, as always, is Tim.
Yes.
And Joseph.
No.
And Kevin.
Maybe.
Yeah, so this is the horror movie podcast.
It took 2 hours of practicing, but we nailed it.
Yeah. This is the horror movie podcast here on the Meld Fuzz Podcast Network, and every week we talk about horror films from the past and the present. And it is October. Happy October, everyone. And that's big for horror movies because it's Halloween month, and that means even more coverage than normal. So, basically, this week we're actually going to do something out of the ordinary and cover 3 full films instead of just the one. We watched the first 3 Paranormal Activity movies for this episode. Before we go any further, I will say full spoilers for all 3 films. As always, we go full spoilers for what we're talking about, but this one, there's 3 of them, so I'm warning you now. And
so that's spoilers for the first movie.
Yeah.
Spoilers for the second.
Yes.
And the
Spoilers
third.
for the third.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Yep. Spoilers.
Yeah, that's
Spoilers for
all
all
3.
3 of them.
That's good. That's good. Right, we've established that. Now, why are we covering these 3 movies? Well, we're going to do 4 and 5 next week, because then at the end of the month, it'll actually be the first episode we have, I think, in November, given when it comes out in the UK. But we'll be doing the 6th and apparently final Paranormal Activity movie when it's released in theatres.
Well, we can hope it's the final one.
Oh well, that's giving a bit of a preview as to what Kevin felt about these movies. To give a bit of background on these 3 in particular and how we all first seen them, before we even get to the quality of the movies. So no opinions on the movies, I just want to know how everyone's seen these for the first time. I seen the first one in theatres when it came out in 2009. I mean, the movie's actually listed as 2007 because it was like made, in 2006 or whatever, and they released it in like some film festivals, but it sat on a shelf looking for a distributor for a long time. So I seen that in theatres in 2007, not really knowing what I was getting into, but it had a lot of buzz at the time. 2 I never seen until like a month before the third one came out. Because the third one was coming out and I was planning on going seeing it, I made a point of, watching it on Netflix or whoever I seen it. I can't remember exactly. And then the third one I seen in theatres when it came out as well. So that's how I seen those 3. Tim, how did you see these?
I mean, kind of similar with the first one. I think it came out, at least over here, like in October as well.
Yeah,
I think it was around that time. And
Well, that was the thing. See, for like 2009 to 2012, there was one of these every October.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw it in the theater too. Actually, saw it with a bunch of people. I was in an improv group at the time, and we were looking for something to do after practice one day. And I remember people being like, "Oh, like I heard there's this like really creepy, crazy new horror movie out," and so obviously being a big horror guy, I was like, "Oh, let's go check it out." And yeah, I remember watching it and and liking it and. I guess not supposed to say that yet, but then I think each year after that, I saw them in theaters as well.
Alright, cool. Joseph?
I'd only seen the first one previously. I saw it before the second one even came out. My friend, his father, used to rent Redbox movies and then make illegal copies, and they had a nice collection. And I decided I wanted to watch one. I had heard good things about the buzz, so I gave it a shot, and I just wasn't interested enough to go into 2 and 3 until this day, today.
And Kevin, had you not seen any of them until this week?
No, I had the unfortunate displeasure of not seeing any of these, and until Saturday.
We're not giving any idea of our opinions.
No. But I saw 1 on Saturday, and then 2 on Sunday. No, I saw 1 on Sunday.
Kevin, it doesn't matter what day of the week you watched them on. That wasn't the point.
2 on Monday, and 3 today. So yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And as we wait for Kevin's mic to stop making noises, as he stays perfectly still as if there's a ghost right in front of him. All right, so you kind of got a hint of how people felt there, just given the way they described their first experiences. I like these movies. I like particularly these three of these movies. I quite enjoy. I actually thought the first one was very effective when I went to go see it. So we'll stick to the first one for now, which is of course the story of Katie and Mika, who live in a house that I don't believe they could afford, quite frankly. In fact, in this second viewing that I watched this week, in particular, I actually was sitting going, how could they afford? I would love a house like this. How? Like, she's meant to be a student, which means he's paying for it almost entirely by himself. And
he's probably some trust fund prick or something.
yeah. But he's never actually working. Like, she mentions at one point he's a day trader, but you never see him leave the house or go to work. It's like that's
That's true. He just watches all the videos from last night all day.
Yeah, like until apart from the ghost killing him and stuff, this guy's got the perfect life. Like he really does. But yeah, that's I mean, renting that house, assuming it was rented, it might have been someone's house that they knew. That was probably the most expensive part of the budget, like of the film. Like the camera.
It was the director's house.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they filmed it because the budget was so small. They just filmed it inside the director's house.
Oh, so
Come stay at my house for 2 weeks while we shoot this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks sounds about right. This would have been a quick shoot. I mean, there's not a whole lot to set up in a lot of these scenes. But, yeah, so I thought it was effective. I thought what it did well is it took a very normal setting, and it was really just about what goes bump in the night. You know, like that first time it goes to night vision, and it's looking at the bedroom. And it's actually so weird looking back at this first movie now, because it only has one camera. And it's just that one camera in the bedroom. And it comes up saying night 1, whatever the date is, and then it just keeps happening. And like every time it goes there, it's just something a little bit more happens. And as the movie, more creepy stuff's happening. And I think it's very easy to be cynical and be like, well, this is not that scary. But this was quite effective. When I seen this in theaters with people, this was, this worked a treat.
Oh yeah, whenever they were doing their test screenings, the audience started to walk out, and they thought it was because it wasn't going down well. But then later on, they spoke to them and they said they were walking out because they couldn't handle the intensity. So yeah.
Well, I think that kind of part of that is because it or at least to me, it seems like kind of realistic. Like like there have been times where, like. I think a lot of people can relate to being with your friend or something, and you're just sitting, and then you hear like a weird noise, and you're kind of like, "What is that?" And like, what's going on? Then you kind of explore it. Then you kind of get in your head and
just let it go if nothing gets seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of sticks to that for the most part. It's not until later on in the film where more extreme stuff starts happening, where it's like, okay, clearly there's something going on. This isn't just maybe there's like a demon in the house. There's a fucking demon in the house, and it's trying to kill us.
Yeah.
Which is something I thought it did good, was the way it kind of built up to that stuff. Like, it started off very small and then just kind of incrementally just gets like bigger and bigger, and still like, I think kind of starting with like the Ouija board stuff, like it starts getting like really crazy. And
and it also builds in the sense that it keeps adding stuff to the mythology as it goes, because it starts off just being, okay, there's something in the house, and then like the psychiatrist, the demonologist, or whatever his job title is, comes around, the psychic, and he's like, nah, this isn't something that's to do with the house, this is something that's following you, this is that. And that was very interesting. I thought that was a very different take on it, because usually haunted house movies, well, that's exactly what they are, they're haunted houses. And the distinction between a ghost and a demon, again, is something that's brought up, and it's, it just adds interesting layers to it, and you start to theorize, well, what's the intention of this demon? What does he want? What's he trying to do? And I think it's quite clear as the film goes on that he does not like Mika.
No.
Because even like throughout the movie, like it obviously there's at one point he smashes the photo right over his face, and it's like, okay, right, Mika's fucked. Like he's a
taught a demon. You expect anything different to happen to you?
Yeah, but I mean, especially the second time watching it, I noticed repeatedly that he does taunt him a lot, and then even the fact that he's using the cameras and trying to catch him was just pissing him off. And then like the demon, even though you never see the demon, has a personality. Like
that's seen through all three.
Yeah.
always the people who are filming it. They're the ones who are targeted the most.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Um, and I think the two leads do a pretty decent job. They feel like real enough people, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think it's one of my favorite bits about the first one is that I actually believe that these characters could have been sort of in a relationship. They just had that chemistry going on between them, and I thought it worked really well considering the sort of whole tone it was going for.
Yeah. And I think his skepticism and maybe not taking it as seriously as she was
Yeah,
also felt very real. Not to like put like both into stereotypes, but generally speaking, I would genuinely consider like, and these are both negatives, but I think I would generally consider the woman to be more likely to be the one who believes something and is scared. But just as likely, I feel like the man is more likely to be arrogant to a fault and say, no, there's a logical reason for this. There's something, going on. And then even when he does start to believe stuff's going on, he's arrogant enough to think that he can deal with it. Because he said,
it, control it.
yeah, because he says, we'll deal with this ourselves. We'll deal with this ourselves. I'm dealing with it. It's like, how the fuck are you dealing with it? What are you possibly doing that's going to deal with this?
That's the only thing. Like, if I had any minor complaint about the movie, and maybe not even so much a complaint, but just like if I was in that situation, it's just like so many times it's like, why don't you go to like a motel, or like, I know they said that it's her, not the house, but still, like, I would just feel so much safer, like, being outside or around people, or staying somewhere with like,
yeah,
not just being in one isolated place with one other person.
yeah. Although does she not say that later on? She says like, we're not going to stay one day later in here or something. Then they try to go, and then the demon stops them.
That's a horror staple. As soon as
Yeah.
the night you're about to leave, something happens. In every ghost movie, it's the night they finally say, I'm leaving, I'm done. That's it.
Yeah,
But
I'd be really interested to see like, I mean, this next one looks like it's going to be kind of different tactic, but I'd actually be really interested to see another version of this where they do actually just go to a hotel halfway through, and then see it happen at a hotel, and see what anarchy that causes.
Oh yes, all their neighbors getting experiencing it as well.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
What's on
Ah,
there?
gotcha.
Just knocking on the door, wondering what the noise is. Door opens, he gets thrown away.
I mean, I mean, I do honestly think that if you turn the lights off and it's midnight or past midnight, after midnight, after midnight, if you will, I think if you let yourself get sucked into this, it can be quite an effective little creepy movie that just plays on the simple basic ideas of noises in the night.
Yeah, I think whenever I was saying that, I had to trudge through these films, I don't think it applied to the first one. I actually quite enjoyed the first one, just as a one-time thing. It's interesting. It's original. I liked it. It was good enough. I was able to watch it the hour and a half or an hour and 26 minutes or something. It didn't drag in. Yeah, it didn't. I think the pacing was quite good.
And also, it was really the first. I mean, it wasn't the first found footage movie, obviously, but it was the first of the current wave of found footage.
Thank you, Paranormal Activity. Thank you.
Like, this is the reason why we have so many found footage movies in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I think I mean, there's a couple of moments where you maybe think, why is the camera still on? But for the most part, he's got it on to monitor the bedroom, so they're not touching it. It's just on a tripod. It just it's filming. There's a lot less of the why are they filming that right now? Like, there's a couple of moments where that happens, but not too much. I think the fatigue certainly wasn't there during this one. So yeah, generally we seem to be fairly positive on this.
Yeah.
Joseph, do you want to give us a negative?
No, I have no negatives on the first. The first one is probably my favorite. That's the one I
Okay.
enjoy the most. And rewatching it, I kind of was able to appreciate it a little more. The last time was with friends, just kind of kidding around, so we were a bit more cynical. And that was a couple years ago. So this time, just kind of sitting it by myself, just relaxing, it was much more enjoyable.
Yeah, okay. That's the first part of it. We'll leave ratings till the end, and we'll do all three back to back. But so let's move on to Paranormal Activity 2, which is mostly actually a prequel. And I actually kind of appreciate this. They kind of wrap it around the first movie a little bit, because Katie in the first film. Now, actually, before we even go on, I should probably mention that Paranormal Activity, the first film, had like 3 different endings. And the ending,
I watched one of the alternate
yeah,
endings.
the ending that's in the movie was actually one that they shot much later for the theatrical release. If you've seen it at a film festival before that release, you would have seen one of 2 different endings. One of which involved the police showing up and shooting
Kitty.
Kate. I think it was Kate. It may have been Mika though. I don't know. But the police show up like 2 days later and shoot the hell out of whoever's alive. And then the other ending, which sounds really sinister, is after Mika dies, like Katie comes up to the bedroom with a knife and
This
slits
is
her
the
own
one
throat.
I saw.
Yeah, she slits her own throat.
God.
Which would have really thrown plans for the sequels out of
Yeah.
whack. Had they went
Probably
with-
they didn't use it.
Yeah, that's probably why. But actually, I mean, if I'm going to criticise anything, that's the only thing I think is weak about the first movie. Really, is the ending.
It's the same thing that Sinister does, and it's the same thing that Unfriended did, where it's just sort of that's like 3 or 4 seconds, and it's just a jump scare.
It wasn't the exact same thing because you see her looking at the camera and smiling.
Well, yeah, but does she not jump? Am I remembering this wrong? Does she not jump towards the camera?
No.
All right. Okay.
Well, she-
I know. I remember. No, she jumped towards the
Well,
camera.
she does, but she doesn't
Yeah.
jump out of nowhere. She just sort of leaps forward. But
Well, yeah.
But
You see it
it's still
coming.
a bit of a jump scare. It's still kind of one.
nah, see, I don't think it's the
Yeah.
same thing because it's in context. Whereas those sinister jump scares at the end are literally you're just looking at a random object and then the head pops in out of nowhere. Like that is way more cheap.
Well, yeah.
Um,
I don't know. I still had a slight problem with it. I think they should
Well,
have just sent
yeah,
it.
I mean, like I agree, it's the weakest part.
Yeah.
The last like minutes probably the weakest part.
It gets better after you see the second one. They kind of start to strengthen each other.
Yeah, because the second one puts into a lot more context. And she mentioned in the first movie that she has a sister, and that they experience this shit together. So the second movie is focused around her sister, and it focuses around about a month before the first movie, month and a half before.
2 months.
And I thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting they wrapped it around, and I think what they also did that was quite smart for the sequel is they gave us a different type of family. It wasn't just a couple. This time there was a daughter and there was a baby and there was a dog. And the other thing they did to upgrade it was they added multiple cameras. They put in this idea that there's actually a security camera system throughout the house. And they give a reason for it. They give context. I mean, they put this in because, I mean, we know it's a demon, but you know the house gets wrecked and they think someone's broken in, so they put in this camera system. And that gives us this wonderful thing that we never really had in the first movie, where the cameras cut between each other, and it's like a basic filming technique, but they couldn't use it in the first one because of the way it was filmed.
I especially liked how the cameras were always pointing down because of being a security camera, not a tripod. Where in the first one it was more just kind of a stationary, looking towards the door. This time it was going to be looking down, so you had a little bit more angles to look at.
Yeah. So that was cool. And I liked the family for the most part. I liked that Katie showing up, and that obviously told us that it was set before the original film for the most part. And even Mika shows up at one point, and you even find out that the reason why he buys a camera for the start of the first movie is because he quite liked the camera they had.
But I don't think they mentioned in the first the second one takes place 2 months before Mika and Katie. So surely they would have mentioned to each other like what was going on with Kristen's house.
They do mention
They
it.
do,
They do.
yeah, because Katie mentions how she needs to ignore it, paying
Yeah.
attention to it's what makes it worse. And then towards the end, Katie starts mentioning how stuff started happening to them.
Yeah, because that's after the husband uses the very stereotypical Mexican woman who happens to know all this voodoo
Oh
shit.
God.
Um,
Yeah.
like
Alright,
he's like, yeah, pass it on to the sister. Like, so we find out that the only reason why it happens to Kate in the first movie is because it's been passed on to her from sister.
Chris,
Yeah.
from Dan, to get Christie's son.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
So
that's actually this is what I actually really like about these movies is each one adds a lot more to the mythology. And in this one, the daughter actually uncovers a bunch of shit about how, it was like this coven years ago, and they used to like to
Make
get whatever they
deals.
want. They make a deal with the demon, and the first born son in the family that comes next would be the sacrifice or whatever.
You get into it, yeah.
And this is obviously the first son in the family since then.
That adds a bit more tension to the film with a baby being at stake now.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think the second movie's as good as the first one. I think it's got a lot of nice touches to it. There's moments that I very much like.
There's cool stuff in it, but it's like
More happens, but a little bit to its detriment.
I thought it was just kind of more of the same. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
there's enough of a departure. Like you said, I do like the stuff it adds to the mythology, which would, I mean, really, I think that's the strongest part of the film. But, I mean, when you're dealing with a movie like that, that's kind of, so premise focused, like, just doing a sequel that doesn't really, have much of a different point, I feel like is kind of weak. Like, I still enjoyed it, but
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the last 10 minutes it becomes much better because we see that the same bite thing happens to Christy, and
like that scene where she's like getting dragged from the top of the stairs to the
that's
every time she gets to the door, I like that.
And then the stuff down in the basement's cool, but really, and then obviously the really good stuff is when it jumps ahead to like after the first movie. And you find out that immediately after the events of the first movie, Katie, possessed by the demon, shows up at the house, murders the whole family, basically, and steals the kid. And you're like, oh, this is the whole point the whole time, is that the demon wanted the kid. Like, this was everything it was trying to do was to get to this kid.
And it's really cool, like Joseph said, it makes you go back and look at the first movie in a different light.
They strengthen each other.
Yeah.
It does, and I think that's a really good thing you can say about a sequel is if it actually strengthens the first movie, because more often than not it tends to do the opposite, and you're like, the sequel wasn't as good, and this one wasn't as good, but it does strengthen the first movie still. So I don't think it was bad.
It build the mythology to where it's not useless, it's not pointless.
Yeah. I added more to it, but Kevin said he struggled through this one, so I'm curious as to.
Other than the mythology, I just find this boring. And it's the same problem I had, and I'll talk about it later when we get to the third one. I just wanted to skip through half this film. I didn't.
And get to the end.
Yeah, like Tim said, it was just more of the same. It was just generic. Well, not generic. It was just camera gets set up. First few days, nothing happens. And then about half an hour in, something. Finally, like the door squeaks, and like I've seen this all. I've seen that all before. I don't need to see it again. And although I did like the family, I did like the kid, I did like the the stereotypical Spanish maid. But other than that, I just more of the same. I just felt myself wanting Martine. I just wanted to skip through it, and it did really nothing for me.
Yeah, I think it'd been a little bit. I think they actually did quite a good job making it very easy to watch. Like, I don't think it drags that much, really, despite the fact that it is very
by the numbers.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was a little hard for me, but it was actually because I had recently just watched all these movies like 2 months ago. My girlfriend hadn't seen him, wanted to see him, so we watched like all of them back to back. Which, like, when I first saw him in theaters, or when I watched him like 2 months ago after it had been a while, I felt it was a lot easier to watch. But I did kind of feel a little similar to Kevin, but only really because like I had just seen it so recently.
Yeah, but I think that's fair enough, because I think any movie, if you've just watched it like a month ago, you're probably going to.
There's some that are like exceptions. Like, I have some of my standbys I can like watch anytime, but for the most part, there's a lot of them are kind of harder.
Obviously there's some, but I mean, for the most part, even movies you quite like, if you try and watch it twice in 1 week, you're probably going to be kind of bored the second time because you just watched it.
True, yeah.
But so that's Paranormal Activity 2. Interesting stuff, sets up the mythology. We get a lot more of the two sisters stuff, and then comes Paranormal Activity 3, which I actually think is the best of the three.
I'd agree with that. I really like this one.
I'll go still first.
Nah, I really like 3. I think 3 does a lot of really interesting stuff. I think it adds the most to the mythology.
That part is true.
Yeah.
And I like all that stuff. I think in order to mix things up, okay, first of all, they add an oscillating camera, which again a simple little thing, but it adds so much. Like every time that camera is turning from the kitchen to the living room and back, like every time it's coming back, you're like, someone's going to be there. Someone's going to be
Yeah.
there. Someone's going to be there. You know. So that was genius first of all, but I think what else did is they gave the ghost or the demon more of a personality because the kid's actually talking to it. It's got a name. It's Toby. Yeah.
Because I haven't heard that name for a ghost or demon before.
Have you? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's been used before.
Has it? Okay. I'm out of it.
I've heard it a few times. Toby.
I
Apparently
just
a lot of demons are Toby.
I just assumed it was a homage to Toby Hooper, but I mean maybe not. I don't know.
It may have been. All those other demons I've heard of me.
Maybe Toby's got like a sinister meaning. Maybe that's why they keep using it.
Well, I know. I mean, not a movie per se, but I do think there was like one of those specials on the Discovery Channel. I think it was like
The
a haunting in
Haunting Show?
Georgia. Yeah, I think it was the Georgia.
That's where
one.
I'm mentioning a few of them.
Yeah. But I agree with Joseph though. I know I've definitely heard that at least once or twice before.
No, fair enough. But what I like about it though is because you have the kid talking to it, and you get this sense through even more so in the first movie and the second movie, which you do get the sense of what the demon's after. In this one, you really feel like there's a force at work, like he really has an agenda, and he's trying to get things to a point. Like he wants the kids to go to grandma's house. And by the way, the second time watching this, like the grandmother being like, "Oh, but you want a son." Like,
Yeah.
you really want, like, this was so telling. Like, the second time, this was just like, all right, she's so a witch. She wants the son to sacrifice. God damn it, you know?
But I really like just the like setting it in
Days.
that time. Yeah, just because I thought it was cool, like presenting like, all right, as a like with the second one where it's almost like it's more convenient because you know, they're like, oh, we can add all these cameras and stuff. I feel like this one they actually like were giving themselves problems that they had to find solutions for, like, you know, okay, like 80s, you know, technology and stuff, how we're gonna work our way around it. And yeah, obviously like the oscillating fan and stuff being the best example of doing something like really cool with that time setting and what they had available.
Also, I do feel this one had the most that found footage problem where, why are they filming this right now? Because it cuts to like a random conversation of them talking about Back to the Future at one point.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are they filming this? And there's even one point.
It should be called Back to the Present. No, Back to the Past.
Thank you, Kevin. That was a wonderful, wonderful reenactment. Which, I mean, it does bother me, like, because there's even another point where, like, the assistant guy is like, you need to watch this footage, and then it cuts to the guy watching the footage, and the camera's just sitting there watching him watch the footage, and I'm like, why would
In case
the camera...
anything happens while they watch the footage.
Well, yes, of course. There's like,
Haven't you seen Ghost Hunters? And they watch themselves observing the evidence.
I
don't
do
know.
think that's like the one big thing that like I feel like you kind of have to let go with this whole series is to be like
Well, I think more than that, though, you have to kind of let go of the fact that so many people connected to this family
Right,
are
yeah.
all are all into filming stuff and are all like, it's kind of lucky for us that so much of this has been filmed, like every
yeah,
part of this story.
totally.
And that none of this evidence has been used for future cases.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, this one has. I like the two girls. I like what they add to it.
Yeah, actually,
talking-
I thought they were really good actors, and
Yeah.
I thought it kind of made the situation maybe like a little scary or something, like having these, you know, little kind of innocent girls in danger, you know, as opposed to like, you know, this loud guy that's like yelling at a demon and stuff. And
I mean, also you've got the whole thing where Christie is like very close to the demon, but then refuses to do what it wants, and then the demon starts like basically picking on Katie, like picking her up in the hair and doing all sorts. And then obviously everyone remembers the moment with the oscillating fan with the ghost sheet.
yeah,
You know, behind the babysitter.
One of the parts I liked was the when the assistant guy is babysitting him, and they're in the bathroom doing Bloody Mary. And then like just trying to see him like keep his cool in front of her, but like being like scared to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. And I like that he survives because he's like, as soon as that happens, he gets the fuck out. He's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
gone. I'm never coming back.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I was kind of like saying with the first one, like, oh, why wouldn't you do that? Like that guy like acted like exactly how I feel like most people would act.
Although I do have to criticize him a little bit because he like after seeing the footage of the ghost sheet like dropping on the camera, he still goes in and does the Bloody Mary thing. If I had seen that in this house, I'd like, I'm not doing that in the mirror. Fuck that. I ain't doing shit. And I'm not someone who believes in any of this shit. I don't believe in ghosts. But if I seen that, I wouldn't be testing things. I wouldn't be pushing my luck. Like, don't be silly. Like, better safe than sorry. That's what I say.
I think he was a bit reluctant to do the Bloody Mary thing though, because remember he turns the light on like a few seconds. Yeah, it's like, no, you didn't leave the light on long enough. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, another aspect of this that I really like about this third one is that we've learned a lot of the mythology from 2, like particularly the stuff we talked about the sacrifice and the coven and all that. Right? None of the characters in this one really find that out.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he finds out a little bit about the coven, but like, it's all stuff we know more than they do because of the other films, and it's really interesting to me because when we get to the final section where they go to the Grand's house,
which I love, is so good.
Yeah, I really like that section as well, and all that shit starts going down. I'm like, this all ties into what we learned in the second movie. This is pretty cool stuff. This is everything's coming together, and some great moments. You know, the wife like hanging by nothing basically.
Yeah,
it was a cool moment when he goes into the I don't know, what is it, a greenhouse or I don't know, the shed or whatever, the little building like down the path, and he just turns around and there's like all these old women just walking towards him. It's like old people, like most terrifying thing in the whole movie, and you know, and then his death where he just gets like sort of bent backwards, like you know, crippling.
Yeah, I love the cracking sound whenever. It's like satisfying.
I think, you know, I really like this because I liked the setting the most. I liked what it did scares wise the most, but I also like that the ending adds so much to mythology. It really brings everything a step forward, and for me this is the best one in the series. Not to spoil my thoughts on the next 2, which we're getting to next week, but to me this is the good 3 movies in the series, and so
we
Kevin,
don't give much hope to Kevin and I.
No. Yeah, Kevin, if you didn't like these first 3, I can't brace yourself for 4 and 5. That's all I'm saying.
Not having to spend money going to see the 6th one.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the 6th one. I think the 6th one might be good because as much as I'm not going to talk about 5 because we're doing that next week. That's the marked ones. Actually, it's not called 5, but I'm calling it 5 because fuck you, basically. So Kevin, what more thoughts do you have on this thing since you did seem to struggle through this one?
I don't know. I just actually I managed to watch the first one just sort of straight through. I didn't think it dragged at all. The second one dragged. I didn't care about really any of it. And the third one, I skipped through a bit because I know
that's not allowed. That's not allowed.
Like 2 or 3 minutes. But I just didn't care. I didn't care about any of it.
I'll tell you right now, Kevin, that does not count towards your Octoberthon now.
2 minutes.
No, I'm serious. That does not count. You're going to get no points for that movie.
Oh.
You skipped through parts of it.
Now, how would you know that he goes back and watches those 2 minutes before he submits his list at the end of the month?
If he wants to submit that movie, he's going to have to go back to the start and watch the whole thing again.
Oh, no, I'll just take the minus 10 points. I don't care. I'm not watching it again. But
he'll take the hit.
I'll take the hit. But what I other than like the first film and a tiny bit of the second film, they managed to make like a film and a half where I didn't really care about any of the characters. I didn't care what happened. I didn't care about the children. Children? Who cares about children? No, I didn't care about them. I thought it was.
Heartless monsters don't, I guess, but.
Yeah.
No,
heartless bastard.
The part where where the kid is walking on I don't know which one it is, but Katie or Kylie or something is walking on the banister or like the rail of the of her bedroom. She just jumps down. I thought that was stupid. I
Okay.
I didn't really I didn't sort of, especially with the third one and bits of the second one, I didn't care. So I just didn't have the motivation to sort of be invested in it.
Okay. Joseph, did you like it more than he did?
Oh yes, definitely. I definitely like a lot more because I recognize the strengths of the film. I may not be the biggest fan. I may not be the one people. This is my favorite franchise. I have to go see them in theaters. But for at least with how the mythology has built and how they strengthen each other up. Uh, did he give ratings? Are we giving ratings at this
Not yet.
point?
Not yet. No.
Okay, so no, I won't go. No, I would probably say though that watching the first one the first time was probably a little bit weaker score for me, but now watching them all three consecutively, the mythology building, it strengthens them all. I do think the second and third are both a little by the numbers. They don't really bring too much new except for in the story, but nothing really new to how it's made. There's still a little formula there, but I'm willing to accept that because most horror films follow a formula still, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
But
Friday the 13th Part 7 versus Part 3. Aren't they going to be
yeah, but there's
shockingly
still
different?
yeah, and you can find the strengths of each one. So I have more positive feelings than Kevin. I'm probably not going to have the highest scores, but they're not going to be as low as Kevin's.
Cool. Cool. All right. So now, Tim, you've seen 4 and 5, haven't you?
Yes.
Right. So I'm not going to. You're exempt from this. I'm exempt from this because I've seen them.
Okay.
But Kevin,
Yeah.
I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you
No.
looking forward to 4 and 5 now?
No. I'll actually be able to. I think I can always pay attention in a cinema, so I think I'll be able to at least pay attention to the sixth one. But I'm not looking forward to having to watch 4 and 5.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say my opinions on them, but I'll
I've
say that
heard
for
your
next week.
opinions before. That's enough for me not to look forward to them.
Yeah. I'll say.
Especially because you like these more than me.
Yeah.
So if you hate those,
I mean, I'll just to entice you. The fourth one of the main plot elements is the Microsoft Xbox Kinect. Plays a vital role in the plot. So look forward to that. But unless anyone's got anything else to say about all three as a whole, I will say that I'm happy that we do have some horror franchises that are doing the whole yearly thing, you know. I kind of wish sometimes that I grew up in the 80s where I could have had Friday the 13th and Halloween
Nightmare on
and
Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street every year and like all that stuff.
yeah, this came right towards the end of Saul's life. So as
Yeah.
Saul was finishing up, we got Paranormal Activity.
Oh God.
And now we're getting an Insidious every year.
Every 2 years. But Insidious so far is my favourite of the bunch. Like,
Yeah.
I think Insidious has been a great series. I'm all for more Insidious.
Yes, this started Blumhouse, and now every other week we're watching Blumhouse.
Although I will happily sacrifice lots of children if it means no Sinister 3.
Ugh. No.
Yeah, I do not want third Sinister. Please, no more.
I'd be
Those
down
first
for
two
that.
are awful.
The
And
I
no more Gallows.
no more Gallows. Bloody
Oh, definitely.
awful. The speaking of Blumhouse, I watched 2 Blumhouse films today. The Paranormal Activity 3, and then The Purge: Anarchy. So
Oh, okay. Well, hold on, just 1 wee second. Let's get on to some ratings then for the 3 Paranormal Activity movies, 1, 2, and 3. So I guess I don't know what to pick with this one because you don't see anything. How about
Flaming Ouija
Possess
boards.
Katie's Flaming Ouija boards.
God damn it. How many? God, there's nothing in the movies to pick. There's no like objects in the movie here.
Maybe just think of an October theme.
How many powder footprints out of 10? Right, there we go. That was a stretch. Don't get me. I know I'm stretching it, but like, come on.
So it'll be the lower the score. You don't really get much of a trail.
Right. So Kevin, So
God.
first movie, second movie, third movie. How many sugar footprints out of 10?
I forgot to mention that was a cool part in the first part. That was the first cool part in the first film.
The powder, yeah, yeah.
But the first film, I'll give I don't know whether I'm feeling generous. I think I'll give it a 7. I'm feeling generous. The second one, I'll give it a 6, and then the third one I'll give it a 5.
765. Okay, that's a straight line going down. That
Yeah.
bodes well for number 4.
No, it does not.
Joseph, what are your?
The first one I do think is a solid. It started the found footage way, which I kind of want to deduct points for that, but I won't. I will be fair to it. I would give the first a 7, and then the second and third I don't really see much day and night between. I do find them formulaic, but again I like where the mythology goes, and so that bumps them up from being run-of-the-mill average to a 6 out of 10, both of them.
Cool, 766. Okay. Tim, what about you? Your ratings for across the board?
Kind of similar. I would give the first one a solid 7. Second one, I'd give a 6.5, and then the third one a 7.5.
Okay, cool. And I think this is our first here on Screams After Midnight, but I think all 4 of us are giving the first movie a 7. This is the first time I think we've all given the exact same score. That's cool. So there you go. We all agree in Paranormal Activity. Paranormal Activity 2, I will I will dip down a bit. I will go to a 6 for that. And then the third one, I'm going to go as high as an 8 for the third one. I actually really like the third one. Adds a lot to me. So
I was flip-flopping between 7.5 and an 8, but
I
because I really like it, especially the ending. But
yeah.
I have a regular listener and a person who's sitting beside me who really wants to give her thoughts right now, hearing our scores.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna give her a chance to speak her mind. Come here, Jet. Yeah, come on. What do you think about the Paranormal Activities?
They're awful.
Oh, yes. Join the
No.
good side.
Now,
Join the
what are your
proper side.
scores?
What are my scores?
Yes. So how do you rate the first 3?
I give them all a 1 out of 10. They're simply awful. They're unwatchable.
oh no,
You know what? I wouldn't go that low, but yeah, she's right.
Nah, let's be fair though. Jesse's had some pretty dire opinions on good movies in the past.
Yeah.
Just because you think they're good doesn't mean they're good.
Ooh.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
For I am Peter, master of the universe.
Remember, she doesn't.
Oh, God.
She hates all the Insidious movies. She hates The Conjuring.
oh no.
She hates the Sinister movies. She
Well-
liked The Visit. She liked The Visit.
Only because it was more of a funny kind of like, not a as in it was a good horror movie, but more so it was just so funny and awful that it was okay to watch.
Well,
I don't
think,
understand these people that keep saying it was funny. There was no, I thought there was no humor at all. I
Come
do not
on.
understand this.
Well, I think
White
guys,
rapper?
I do want to say, I do want to say to Joseph,
Oh, God.
if a demon ever comes after Jessie, just leave the house. Let her deal with herself.
I won't tell her that.
Well, now I want to know.
Just leave it. It's fine. It's fine. Leave her the camera. She can do all the recording herself. You just run for the hills.
Can I bring Kylo?
Oh, Kevin's mic.
The cat would give it a bad rating too.
Well, if cats are moody, they give everything bad ratings. But anyway, let's move on then. So that's given our ratings for Paranormal Activity 1, 2, and 3. Next week we're going to do Paranormal Activity 4 and Paranormal Activity the marked ones. So expect that next week. But before we leave you this week, it is October, and we're all participating in the October-thon. We're all watching a bunch of horror movies for this month. Ideally focusing on ones that we've not seen before. So we're just going to quickly run down the list, not giving too many opinions because there's a good chance we'll probably end up covering a lot of these in the future episodes. So just sort of give a quick rundown of what we've watched so far. And I think we'll just stick to new watches. So leave rewatches off your list. So Kevin, do you want to just give us a quick rundown of what you've watched so far?
Well, I started the month watching The Strangers, then I watched The Descent, then I watched Dead Silence, and fell asleep during it.
Well, there was a lot of static over you there from your mic, but I think I heard The Strangers, The Descent, and Dead Silence. What was your favourite out of those three?
The Strangers by far, but that's just the first 2 days.
Oh, right, you get more? Okay.
Yeah, then I saw Creep from 2004, and then I saw Diary of the Dead, which I enjoyed, and then these three, and then technically, because it's classified as a horror on IMDb, I watched The Purge: Anarchy.
Yeah, it's
It's in the ballpark.
So I'm on 145 points at the minute.
Wow. Okay, cool. Okay, I should probably I wasn't going to ask us to say points, but now I'm going to have to explain it to the audience what the point system is. Basically, we're getting 10 points per new watch, we're getting 5 points per rewatch, and also there's some bonuses to get. If you watch 5 movies from one decade, you get a decade bonus for 50 points, and there's a director bonus and a genre bonus as well. So that's where the points are coming from. We won't overly explain it, but that's just to give you some context for where we're getting these numbers from. Joseph, just sort of quickly run down your list so far.
Okay, so I started the month off with The Sacrament, Reanimator, and Them all in one night.
And that's the is it French, Them?
Them is the French 2006.
Not the giant ants from the 50s. Just
No. It's the French one that's same premise as The Strangers, slightly different. I actually put them about equal footing. I also continued the next day with Twixt, Mr. Jones, and Pontypool, followed then by Stakeland, House on Sorority Row, Maniac Cop. Yesterday I finally saw Zombie 2, not knowing that Jessie owned it. She had seen it and loves it.
Wait, Jessie has shit taste in movies. Why did she own Zombie 2?
She loves it, and I did not know that she owned it. I was setting up my horror display, and I saw it. And then Paranormal Activity 2 and 3 being first-time watches. Paired those with my rewatches, I'm sitting at 185 points.
Okay. I think you two have went...
So am I! Because
You,
you forced me to watch all of them with you.
You do not want all of them.
so I think you guys have both clearly went straight for the 2000s or the 2010 bonuses, haven't you? Cause
Yeah, the 2010s,
Yeah.
I'm almost to the 80s.
Yeah, I've got no bonuses yet, but what was your favourite out of those, just quickly?
Reanimator, by far. I love that movie. It was so much fun. Jessie hated it. I loved it.
I'm cool with that.
Good.
So dumb.
It was fun. It was a great B movie.
Okay.
Jessie, just like, I can't sit through the same floor.
For me, it was definitely The Strangers. I really enjoyed The Strangers. It's good.
Okay.
I love a good
Our
old
kid will not
home
sleep.
invasion.
I already asked you, Kevin. You already told us.
Did you?
Yeah.
Hey, you told us that was The Strangers.
All right.
Okay, Joseph, what was your least favourite?
Oh, probably. Let me look at my. Mr. Jones and Twixt was a close second.
Okay, cool.
Mr. Jones had a good concept, but
I didn't ask Kevin though, because I know what one has his least favourite, because it's also my least favourite, so I'll get to that in a minute. Tim, just quickly, what's your list so far?
Well, just I've kind of been doing even rewatches and new releases, but just for my new releases, so far I've watched. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but Noroi, whatever, Noroi, The Curse, which is a Japanese found footage movie, which is really, really good. Dracula, Prince of Darkness, The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, Pulse, the Japanese version, Inferno, and The Company of Wolves.
Alright, cool. What was your favourite out of those?
Probably The Curse, with I don't know, Company of Wolves and Legend of Seven Golden Vampires were both really good too, though.
Least favourite?
Probably Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
Alright, okay.
How can you hate?
Says
Hammer?
Joseph's offended. I'm just going to ask, is that better or worse than The Haunting?
Oh, it's worse than The
I like-
Haunting. But
I like Haunting better.
Okay.
yeah, The Haunting's better. The Haunting's classic. But I mean, how
Alright.
can you not enjoy a Hammer film?
I'm just curious. All right,
boring.
so for me so far, I've got 6 new watches, I think, at the time of recording. I watched Ju-on, The Grudge 2, Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, the original Wicker Man, Chopping Mall, Exorcist 2, The Heteric, and Dead Silence. Dead Silence is the one that Kevin also watched, and was easily the worst of that list. Although that said,
one film.
yeah, Exorcist 2 also was pretty dire. I enjoyed everything else I watched, though. My favourite, though...
What do you think of how Martin Scorsese says Extras 2 is his favorite in the franchise?
Oh, he's a hack. I hate all his films now. I don't know what he's talking about. He's a nut job. He's an absolute nut job. I'm kidding about thinking he's a hack, but he's a nut job. My favourite though is probably Brain Dead. Actually, I had a blast with Brain Dead. I mean, if they had to use over 100 gallons of like fake blood on the movie, then I'm probably going to like it. So definitely worth checking all out. So that's what we've been watching in October so far. We'll do this again for the next few weeks. We'll update our October-thons and our totals. Actually, Tim, what was your points at? I forgot to say, I think.
I haven't done my
But
points
yeah,
yet.
okay, you don't know your points. Okay, I'm actually only at 75.
I know mine's low because I haven't like unlocked any bonuses yet. But
Yeah, I've got no bonuses yet. I'm slow and steady. Although I have ensured I've got all of my directors and genres like lined up. So I'll do those first, and then once I've done that, then I'll start picking off the decades. So
I can't get the directors. I've seen all from one of them.
me too.
So fair, Peter.
That's tough. Well, you're just gonna have to watch more movies then. You're already ahead. You're like 100 points ahead of me. Why are you complaining?
I'm about to get another bonus. I'm about to unlock the 80s bonus.
Ah, you son of a bitch. Anyway, okay, so that'll wrap it up then. So that's a little bonus thing for this month, for the month of October, the October-thon. So thanks very much for watching. If you want to suggest movies for us to cover in the future, you can email us at mailedfuzz@gmail.com. You can also just follow us and suggest stuff on Twitter at mailed_fuzz. You can find the rest of us elsewhere in the world or on the internet. Kevin, where can people find your ass?
You can find me on Letterboxd and on the Twitters at momoguy123.
Cool. Joseph, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter at jkohler_93 and on Letterboxd at jm_Kohler. And then the Mile Fuzz group, where I will be continually updating how I destroy everybody in October-thon all month long.
Yeah, Male Fuzz Group's doing October-thon, and they're also all voting on the 50 best horror movies of all time, which will be counted down. The results will be counted down on Halloween night, so check that out if you're interested. Tim, where can people find you?
Any social media at Tim Vargulish. You can check out my comic book stuff at facebook.com/goatmancomics and other podcasts here on the Mod Fuzz Network.
Cool. You can find me on social medias at Wibble89, including Twitters and various other ones. And you can also find me on other shows here on the network, such as the Movies Podcast, 1.21 Gigawatts. That's every Monday. You can also find me on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast, in which we rewatch every episode of Buffy, every episode of Angel in viewing order. We're about 2/3 through season 1. That's every Friday that goes up, so you can check that out. All of this stuff, of course, is on YouTube. It's all on iTunes. Most of it's on Stitcher now as well. So give us a thumbs up or a like, or a 5-star rating, or subscribe, or whatever. Share us with your friends. We're like a positive STD. You want to share us as much as humanly possible because it helps us out.
Yeah.
Helps
And
us
don't
out a
forget
lot.
about the video game stuff too.
And the video game stuff, yes. Along with our video games podcast, 1080-bit, we stream video games on our Twitch channels. Me and Tim have been streaming horror games every Tuesday night and putting them up on YouTube after. We're playing Fatal Frame right now.
Yeah.
Also, we recently finished... I recently finished with some other guys.
Oh.
Our playthrough of Alien Isolation, Evil
You've been
Within's
playing
coming
games
up.
with other guys?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tim. Alien Isolation's coming up. Lots of cool horror games, and obviously it's October, so you might want to check that stuff out. So all that stuff will be in annotations at the end, or whatever. Some of it won't be, whatever. Descriptions down below. Check all that random stuff, and yeah, I think that'll do the plugging. So keep watching scary movies, guys. It's been a pleasure, as always. We will see you next week for Paranormal Activity 4 and 5, and goodbye.